Okay, we are live on Facebook. Yay!
Yay!
I love when the tech works out. So, welcome everybody to Mindset Monday. I am Christine Colzing. I'm the CEO and founder of the Alignment Tribe and creator of the Align and Design Your Life program and the Realign process. And I have the great pleasure and honor of having a special guest with me this week. It's been a little while since we've had a guest interview inside Mindset Monday, and in particular, another coach. And I'm really excited to have Jackie with us here this week. She and I connected on Instagram and just had a really natural rapport with one another. We had an easy conversation, and she very graciously had me as a guest on her podcast a couple of months ago. And so I thought our conversation was so enlightening. It was so fun for me. And I thought it would be great to have her join us here. So please comment below. We'll come back. Our coaches are on the call with us. They'll answer your questions as we go. And without further ado, I'd love to introduce to you Jackie. Please pronounce your last name again for me.
Palfi.
Palfi. Thank you. Jackie Palfi, who it's different on her Zoom call, but Jackie Palfi's here with us. And Jackie, I'd love for you to share with us, with everybody, a little bit more about who you are, who you serve, what you do. Just give us the whole rundown.
I would love that. First of all, Christine, thank you so much for inviting me on here. It is truly an honor. And you are so right. Our conversation was so in a line. I remember my husband actually listened to a podcast afterwards, and he was like, wow, you could really feel the energy between the two of you. You were so aligned. So
Yeah.
I've been really excited to get on here and have this deep conversation with you once again. My name is Jackie Palfi. I am a mindset trainer and a psychologist, and I work with mostly women, but also all kind of people who align with my work in creating a full spectrum life, a life that you're truly in love with in all areas of life, without the struggle, without the hard work, with it really with ease and grace. I truly believe that you can have it all if you decide for it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you work with your mindset and decide that it can be easy. So that's really what I'm doing. And I started actually, I finished my psychology degree like 4 years ago, where I very, very quickly could feel that I did not want to treat symptoms anymore. I feel like a big part of the world really focused on getting symptoms away instead of already working preventively with having a life where you're thriving. I read a study the other day where it said that 90 something percent of marketing strategies focus on the pain point because that motivates people more. But I believe that we can thrive, we can live our absolutely best lives without hitting the bottom first. So that's really what my work is about.
Yes, I totally agree. And I'm noticing that trend in marketing. I've
Mm,
noticed that a lot more lately. Sometimes I'm looking through, because we're marketing our course and what we do. So I'm looking for examples, I'm looking to emulate, I'm looking at what other people are doing. And I'm seeing this very consistent pattern of always pointing out the pain and the problems in an effort to move you towards, the solution. And while I think there is some place for that, because some people are motivated to get out of pain more than they are to move towards pleasure. I do think that there's a balance that we could achieve there too, where we don't always have to be pointing out the pain and the problems so much, and we can create a world where we're moving towards the what it is that we want, that we're choosing to create that. And I love that you said that having a life that you want, having it all can be easy if you choose it. If you choose to have the mindset that it can be easy. Will you tell me a little bit more about what that's been like for you and how you use that and how you apply that in your life, your own life, and in your work?
definitely. Thank you for that question. So, having it all is not the same for everyone. For some people, it means having 100% time with the family. For other people, it means to be able to do sports all day, whatever, or travel all day. It's different from people to people. So I think the most important part is, first of all, step back and ask yourself, what would I absolutely love? And what comes down there is a full spectrum life for you. And this is exactly what I did. So, as I mentioned before, I finished my master's degree 3 years ago. And after working in the psychiatry and treating symptoms, I just decided that I wanted to go on the coaching path. And very quickly, I was um, so fortunate that I got a position in a coaching company named Real Magic LLC, where I became the lead coach. And it was wonderful. I was serving people all over the world, but I was working most of my time. And then I became a mother. I became pregnant and I became a mother. And through this time, I could start feeling a discontent or a longing for something else, more correctly. But because I knew that this was a position that most people would kill for, I just kind of, even though I knew the tools, I just wanted to prove to myself this was what I was supposed to do. So I threw myself even more into work, and I worked harder and I worked harder. And then at some point, I just realized that I was like, life was sucked out of me. I was really um, reactive towards the people I love the most. My mind was everywhere, but never present. And I was not the mother to the son that I wanted, to my son that I wanted to be. And I really felt stuck and unhappy and sad. And that's not, I knew that that's not how life was supposed to be. I was at this moment coaching people all over the world to live their happy life. And this was until one day that my mentor at this moment asked me, Jackie, one day you're going to tell your son to go after his dreams, aren't you? And first of all, I didn't know what she wanted to say with this, but I nodded and I said, of course, that's what I believe in. And then she said, but how is he supposed to do that if you do not do that? And that's where, this light bulb moment went on for me. And I had realized that I was not living the life that I would love. So at this moment, I made the decision that I wanted it to be easy, and I wanted it to be a life where I felt 100% fulfilled as a mother, as a wife, and as a businesswoman. And that's where things started to change for me.
Yes. So isn't that interesting, the irony of coaching people to live a life they love, and at the same time, it was creating imbalance in your life where um, you said something that I thought was really great. It's something I talk about quite a bit. The balance isn't doing everything equally, but it's being present in the moment that you're in, right? Like you said, you were, thinking of so many things, but not present in the moment. And that creates so much internal conflict for us. It creates so much stress. We're always thinking, when you're at work, you're thinking about being with your family. When you're with your family, you're thinking about work, and really being able to decide for yourself, what does my ideal life look like? Like, what is this going to be for me? And then deciding that this can be easy. We can choose what it is that we want. So what was that like for you when you had that realization? Like, I'm not on the path I want to be on. I'm not being the mom and the wife I want to be. I'm working too much. Something's got to change. What did that change look like for you?
What I felt deeply in that moment, theoretically, I had known it. But what I felt deeply in that moment was that each one of us have two sides to us. One, which wants to stay comfortable. And even though I always say that it's a comfortable, uncomfortable zone. So that's one of the sides. And that includes fear and doubt and not thinking that you can do what you want to do. And then there's the side of us that really wants to grow and wants our dream. And for the first time, I felt this deep longing of really creating this full spectrum life. It was the first time that I really needed it also in my life. But then as I decided that, the same, the voice of who's going to want to be coached by you? Or, I was really deeply scared what other people was going to say, or
Mhm.
especially my boss, if he was going to hate me. These were the voices that just automatically came up for me.
Yeah.
But at this moment, I just knew, after all the work I had done, I just knew that nothing great ever happens when it's convenient or comfortable. So
Yeah.
I just, at this moment, really chose consciously to partner up with a side of me that wanted my dream. And I never looked back since.
I love it. I love it. I was just taking some notes because I think that's the journey for all of us if we choose to take it. So we're in, you called it comfortable, uncomfortable. I call it the familiar zone.
Mm.
My sister, Karen, who is one of the coaches on our team, said to me one day, she's like, I'm never comfortable inside my comfort zone. I don't know why people call it that. I'm usually scared. I'm worried. I don't really want to be there. What it is familiar. It's your familiar zone. It's just what you've gotten used to, even though it's not where you're comfortable, right? Like you were familiar with working 60 hours a week and doing all these things, but it wasn't comfortable for you. And when you took the time to tune in, you said there was, part of you that wanted this, but part of the part of you that had a bigger dream, who wanted to spend more time with your family. Like when you take that time to connect in to your own intuition, when you really honor that knowing, suddenly the choice to do something different becomes so much easier, right? And then you make that choice, and the moment you make the choice, the subconscious mind does its job of trying to keep you safe and where things are familiar. And it goes, oh, who's going to pay you? How are you going to make that happen? You don't know enough. All those things start popping up. It's the subconscious saying, don't leave the familiar zone, because familiar is where you're alive. It feels like safety, even though it's not where you want to be. And so making the choice to live the life that you want to live means choosing to not let those thoughts, those old beliefs, those old patterns keep you in your familiar zone. So what is it that you do when you're in those moments where you're making a choice, those thoughts, those beliefs, I call it the resistance, pops up? What do you do to stay in that choice? What do you do to work through that resistance?
That's such a great thing, because this is really, I think that's where we also align so much in working with our higher self. And this is where I say that it's so important to have your vision written down and crystal clear, because once you really know where you want to go, you can easily, in a situation, stop up and say, what would the person who's already living that life think, feel, or do in this moment? And I love there's a quote from my mentor Mary Morrissey. She says, you can't get to your dream, you must come from it. You must
Mm,
become that person. Because if it's something, like, if you're not that person, then your thought frequency or your feelings frequency is just in alignment with the reality at this moment.
mhm.
And for anything to change, you just have to change that pattern of thinking and feeling. And the best way to do that is really through meditation, stillness practices, but also by every day working with this vision, and either listening to it in the morning, in the evening, or also reading it, so that you can become this person.
Yes, you have to be it before you see it, right? You become the version of you who has it all in your mind and in your body first. Then it comes to you. You become it. I think that's, yeah, I've tried it the other way and it doesn't work. It's
It
like
doesn't work.
it's so much effort and energy to try to create something from being who you're being today. There's nothing wrong with who we're being today. Absolutely nothing wrong with it. There's no judgment. It's just who we're being today isn't necessarily going to be enough for the vision that we have. We have to be the version of us who already has that vision, because that version of us is thinking differently. She's feeling differently. She's acting differently than who we are today.
And I think it's important to also honor that we do always have longings in our life. Like I always meet, or very often meet, people who are like, but my life is okay, I don't need change, I'm grateful for what I have. And I truly believe that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and our spiritual nature is for ever bigger, more expanded version of itself. So saying that I'm okay where I am is actually living a contracted life. We always want more. We always want to grow more. And that is why it's so important to listen to these growth signals from life, which shows up through our discontent and longing. Those are huge gifts. They are creative states to be in.
Yes. And to pull a phrase from the theater world, it's a yes and. Yes, I am grateful. I am crazy grateful for everything in my life, including the things that are challenges, the things that I would maybe wish were different, because there's something in it that I'm learning from. There's something in it I'm growing from. Like I'm I spend time, I have alarms that go off on my phone several times a day to make me stop what I'm doing and pause for gratitude. And I stand up from my chair and I get my body moving and I just express tremendous gratitude for anything and everything I can think of. And I also want more. There's more expansion I want to experience. There's a deeper connection with source and the universe I want to experience. There's more impact I want to make for other women in the world. It's a yes and I think when we live from that place, it just feels, that's, to me, that's creating and enjoying the journey. Like we never want to say now is not good enough. We always want to be in a place of gratitude for what is now while we're creating more of what it is that we want.
I totally agree. Gratitude is in harmony with abundance. And I love what you just said with being grateful in, not just for. It's easy to be grateful for things, but when we are in challenging situations, actually to find things that we're grateful in, like grateful for in that situation, that is a huge gift and will help us move forward. But at the same time, as you said, really finding or listening to those longings that are looking to emerge.
Yes. Um, I always say too that the desires that you have are yours because you're the one who's meant to bring that into reality. That's why we don't all have the same desires, right? I mean, we don't all want the same things out of life. But if you're getting and I think this is why meditation, quieting down, taking time to connect inward is so vitally important, is that you're going to get those downloads. You're going to get those inspired ideas, right? That's why, Einstein, whenever he was feeling challenged with a math problem, he would step away, he would take a nap, or he would take a walk. Like you don't get your most inspired ideas sitting at your computer. Like you get it when you're out. I take walks in nature every single day. I take time to meditate every day because that's where my intuition, my higher self can connect with me and give me more inspiration, give me more things that I can express in this time on this planet. And I think when we're connected to that, it's a lot of fun, but B, there's so much like trust and certainty. I'm like, well, if this is being given to me, it must be something that I'm going to be capable of doing, right? If I was being given the desire to be an NBA star, a basketball star, I probably would have been on that path, but that was never that was never a dream of mine. That was never given to me, so it wasn't a path I ever followed. But I think the dreams and the desires that you have are the ones that you specifically have because you're capable of making that a reality, of manifesting it into your reality. I'd love to hear any of your thoughts on that.
I just nod all the time because I agree to every word you say. And I say the same thing. I tell my clients, especially when they're uncertain if they're meant to do this crazy the idea that they got, that the dream you dreamt up was dreamt up in your mind for a reason. It is there because you were supposed to bring that into reality. And I I really think that My underlining principle in my work is that you are way more powerful than any situation, circumstance, or condition. Meaning, if you really, just like you said, get into that stillness practice, you connect with a power inside of you that has all the answers.
Mhm.
So many people are looking for all the information in books and seminars and all these things, which is great. I'm not telling people not to do that, because you get motivation and inspiration. But the truth is still that you already at this moment have
Mhm.
all the answers within. You have everything you need to create the life that you would absolutely love living.
I know. I sometimes think I do my own program a disservice when I'm like, really, you just need to tune in. And as long as you're tuning in, you've got it. But I know that it helps to have a coach who's helping you to see what you can't always see. It's super helpful to have a community of people who are supporting you along the way. And through those processes, the continual connection to yourself, to your intuition, to your higher self is really what gives you the long term certainty, long term trust, long term faith. Like, you will always, the more you tune into your own intuition and to your higher self, the more you will trust that everything is working out for you, that you'll always be okay, that you'll always figure it out, that you'll be capable of knowing the answers. And when you're able to put that kind of trust within yourself and your higher self, you find things like fear and worry and doubt and anxiety just continually fall away, because you're deepening that trust and certainty with your higher self and with yourself. And to me, that's been one of the most beautiful parts of this whole journey that I've been on. Is that, like, the deeper my connection to source, to my higher self, the less fear and anxiety I have, because I know that everything's always working out. Everything is always working out for me. That even the challenges are part of the process, and the failures are part of the success, and like, it's all working out. And that to me is, there's so much peace in that realization.
It's a wonderful place to be when you can actually find a deep gratitude in the most challenging times. And just to what you said before with having a coach, I completely agree. Like, I really believe that we're not supposed to do it ourselves. We have to do it ourselves, but we cannot do it alone. We all have blind spots, and we do need one person or a community to help us step into the best version of ourselves. But I just still want to really underline that if you have a question or you have a challenge, you will not find the answers in a book. You can find them inside of you. Like, there are no question, no challenge in your life that there are no answer to. I really believe in these universal laws, which are, for me, there are as real as the law of gravity. You can see these universal laws, but still they are there. And one of the laws are the law of polarity, and it says there can't be a question without an answer, there can't be an up without a down. So if you really have something right now that you'd love to find an answer to, whether it's big or small, you can just tune into yourself and it will be right there.
Yes. What is your practice for doing that? How do you tune into that intuition, that knowing?
So I have worked in many years actually in finding my perfect routine. Since my son was born, things really changed a lot in really, finding the time. Before that, I could sit in meditations for hours almost. But now, since he's born, I try to incorporate it in just 5 minutes throughout the day, throughout more times, where I really just like to do some breath work. I have gone to India for many years, so gotten some wonderful tools from there. So I just take like 5 minutes throughout the day when I really need it, or when I feel like I'm too caught up in my circumstances or conditions, and then I do that kind of breath work. And then I just like to work with question meditations.
Mhm.
And besides that, I have a wonderful morning routine. I have a wonderful evening routine. I start my morning off with gratitude. I list 10 things that I'm grateful for, where I list 5 things that I have in my life right now, and 10 things that, no, 5 things that I have in the future that I know I will achieve.
Yeah.
And once I have generated this state of gratitude, it's easier for me then to get into my vision and really connect with my intuition and my higher self, because I have generated this state inside of myself.
Yes. I love that you're connecting with it all throughout the day as well. Because I've noticed that something for me, that I've been doing this work for many years just for myself. And I would have my morning routine, and then I would just sort of go about my life.
Mm,
And I wasn't really consciously plugging back into my identity, my state of being, my higher self, or gratitude. It was something I did in the morning, and it was sort of like my happiness and serenity would just sort of like decline throughout the day, and I couldn't figure it out until, I don't know, one day I was like, oh, I'm not plugging back in. I'm not making this like continually who I'm being all
mm,
throughout the day. And once I started doing that, when the morning routine also that's why I said I have alarms that go off on my phone
mm,
all throughout the day. I don't trust myself to stop working or stop doing what I'm doing to do that work. So I just set alarms. There's alarms that go off on my phone all day to remember gratitude. And I step back into who I'm being. I choose once again. I reread my morning alignment. I read that 3 times a day. I'm
mm.
stepping into gratitude 5 times a day. I have a morning routine and an evening routine. And it's when I'm consistently choosing who I'm being, how I want to feel, what I want to think, the actions that I'm taking, I'm just the peace of mind is so right there. Like I just feel so much more at ease throughout my day. I'm getting a lot more done, but I'm also like doing less, right? Because I'm only doing the most important things. I'm realizing what I can take off my plate because it's something I think I should be doing. I'm just doing the work that I really love and more creative in how I can just do more of that and less. And it's just that consistent connection, that consistent choosing that allows me to have my days like that. It sounds like that's the same practice for you.
Yeah, it is. And I love the way you also described it right now with like being in flow and doing less, because what the way I like to describe it is also, that feeling when you are sitting on the computer, just it's your second, third hour and you're trying to do this task and you just can't get it done. And then you go for a walk, come back to the computer and it's done right away.
Hmm.
That's the state of flow. And still, even though many of us have experienced this before in our life, we're still, or many people still struggling through the way they think they should do it to get into their goal, right? Where if we really just choose, the way you just said, choose to step into this vibration or this state of being where things just flow more easily, then we can start to create a life in a do less way, because it just flows more naturally.
Yes. Yes. Choice is probably the choosing and choice are probably two of the words we use the most inside the alignment tribe because it really is a choice. And at first, it has to be a conscious choice, right? We have to consciously choose who we want to be, what we want to experience, how we want to feel. And the more we consciously choose, the more that then becomes who we are, right? And it becomes less of a conscious choice and more of just who we're being. It becomes our default, and we get to choose that. So yeah, I my clients and my teammates will hear me say that word a lot because I do think that it's always a choice. It's always a choice, to live, to choose what we believe, what we think, what we feel, the actions that we take.
I
So
completely agree. Power of choice is really one of the most transformational tools that you can apply in your life.
yeah, it's where all of our power is. It
Mm.
is true empowerment, is knowing that we have choice and exercising choice in our lives.
which is also where I see the biggest transformation, honestly, in my clients when I tell them, you're not your thoughts. Many people are like, what? Am I not my thoughts? No, you can choose your thoughts. You can choose, like, nobody can make you feel anything. You can choose what you're going to think about that situation. And when we really understand the power of that, things
Yeah.
will really start to transform.
Yes, I agree. I think this is what we should be teaching kids in school.
Yes.
You know, if we all would have known this when we were younger, we would have maybe made different choices. But here we are now, raising the level of consciousness for all.
Yeah.
So, Jackie, how can people connect with you if they'd like to learn more about you and the work that you do?
So actually, I have a wonderful free resource that is live for the next 6 days only. I have my Dream Builder course launching very soon. And the first module is actually about creating a crystal clear picture of your life, where really you can, we go through 4 areas of life: your love and relationship, health and well-being, time and money freedom, and love and relations, time and money freedom, health and well-being, and vocation. So what do you use your time and free time and energy for?
Hmm.
And we have 2 audios, in-depth teaching and a guidebook along, and you have 6 days to opt into this. It's an amazing opportunity, and it will never be free again. And besides that, I have my podcast where you're more than welcome to tune in. I go live there every Thursday, and I just pour out content and how you can live a life in a effortless and do less way as well, and create your full spectrum life. I'm very active on Instagram and also on my website, jackiepalfi.com. And if you have any questions, I answer every email, every DM. So please just reach out.
Great. Thank you so much. We'll put links to the the freebie and to your website and your podcast in the Mindset Monday. So when people come back, they can come and find that. We'll put that in the email that we send to everybody as well. And Jackie, thank you so much for being with us on Mindset Monday. It's been great to talk to you again. I love our conversations.
Me too, Christine. Thank you so much. It's really been an honor. And thank you for letting me be a part of your wonderful community.
Thank you so much.